Yes. I'm thinking. I'm thinking recap time. I'm thinking recap of November, just reflecting on my November, which was fine. Can't complain. Uh, lots of good, lots of bad, but oh well. But yeah, it was weird. I feel like this month I didn't really do much of anything, honestly. I mean, there's a few things I did, uh, and now I'm drawing a big blank in my head. Yeah, there are a few things I did, without a doubt. Sorry, there's like a little smudge. Yeah, a few things I did. Let me re-reflect actually, very quickly, very quickly. Man, I got like a lot of bullshit written down. Damn, that was this month. Okay. All right, but yeah, let's start with movies. Again, it was weird with the movies this month because I rewatched a lot of things, which is the only reason why I was doing that, emotional media, uh, little series of sorts. So I won't talk about anything that I'm talking about from there in here. I'll just talk about either new things I watched or like old things I rewatched. Um, but yeah, so Fantastic Four, First Steps. That's all I can really say about it. I mean, I don't know. Pretty funny. I mean, because the Fantastic Four, they're such like an iconic kind of character series, but they came out in like that early age when people were doing like comic book movies. So alongside like a lot of like the bigger names, like your Spider-Man's, Hulk's, uh, Blade, Ghost Rider, and they came out at like such a weird time because they were so different compared to the rest of those heroes, since they were like the first like kind of group, like collective hero thing, way before the Avengers. And I don't know, I guess people didn't really have the appetite for that at the time. um and those first two, the Silver Surfer one and the other one, there's some fun to be had in those movies. Like, I actually quite enjoy those movies. um but they came out at a weird time. But I feel like this one, especially with how popular the Fantastic Four is now again, especially after Rivals, um, and with how they're gonna work them into the multiverse stuff, if they do end up doing that multiverse stuff. Um, yeah, people just wanted their first family, so we got the Fantastic Four, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. It was just fun, you know. It's kind of weird because that sounds like a bad thing to say, right? That a movie's just, you know, but sometimes it's kind of all it needs to be, especially for a superhero movie, right? I feel like the criteria for a superhero movie to like regular movie, and not to really like divide them in that way, but um, with how I think about them, I think about them very differently. Um, but this is just a solid superhero movie, and I quite enjoyed it. Quite enjoyed the dynamic between the four. Uh, thought Galactus looked really cool, and honestly, I just thought it was interesting that they even bothered with him. If with the first two movies, like all they did was Doom, and the Fan Four stick, all they did was Doom. Doom is such a huge focal point, and I mean, Doom shows up at the very end of this, spoilers, but it's not really like the biggest focal point. They've kind of established that the Fantastic Four is like a group that's been around for a long while, and I sort of like that too. Just like adding in like random villains, like they had Mole Man and shit like that, and it's played that by that guy. I always forget his name, but like I remember seeing him in like Black Klansman, and then also with like Tim Robinson stuff. Right, he's in a couple of Tim Robinson sketches. He's a very funny guy. But yeah, he's in this. He's Mole Man. Uh, but yeah, I mean, again, just like cute movie, if anything, right? I love seeing The Thing. I love seeing Mr. Fantastic stretch around. I loved seeing Invisible Woman use her powers. I loved Human Torch fly around. That was cool. Uh, you know what I mean? But like, to me, it's just really simple. So like, nothing too much to like blush about, but just fun. Um, I don't know what was in the air, but me and my brothers were just watching Halo shit. We watched Fall of Reach, Legends, and Forward Unto Dawn. I'll sum up Fall of Reach and Forward Unto Dawn. They're okay if you like Halo. If you don't like Halo, do not watch. Simple as that. I mean, like, even then, like me myself, I'm not like too big into lore. I know a few things, But yeah, not really too big into the lore. So Fall of Reach is very lore heavy. So if you don't know anything about the lore, you're not going to get much out of it because it is kind of boring. Forward onto Dawn, same way. I just thought it was cool to get another live action project. Because I know there's also Nightfall, right? Halo Nightfall. But then even then, back then, whenever like Bungie was doing those like live action trailers, they did some for ODST, they did some for they did some for Halo 3 as well. The interviews with the retired Marines and stuff, talking about how cool the Master Chief is. But yeah, I don't know, just like live action Halo projects. I feel like Halo can make that switch over to live action so easily. We haven't always seen it done justice. And I'm not going to talk shit about the Halo TV show, the Paramount one, because I haven't seen it. But the stuff I have seen of it. But anyways, Halo Legends. Halo can also make a really good gap into the animated world. And it sucks that there isn't more animated content besides Fall of Reach. No shade to Fall of Reach, but again, I just think it's kind of boring. There's some interesting bits here and there in Fall of Reach. I'm kind of ragging on it a little bit, but there are some interesting bits. Anyways, Halo Legends. Cool, man. We got some really cool shorts. You know, like I like stuff like this. These, what do you call them? Like animated anthology series. You're like Love, Death, and Robots, Secret Level, Animatrix. I'm just talking about the ones I've seen personally. But yeah, so stuff like this, having like a different crew on each one, telling like a different story like within the world, and that's kind of the other problem with the anthology series as well. Sometimes you get like really good ones, and it's like, man, I wish this one went on longer. And then sometimes you get fucking lame ones that go on for too long. And this one doesn't really have either issue really. I feel like all of them are just pretty solid. And I mean, again, right, you can say that's a problem too, just everything being okay. But everything is just okay to me in this. I mean, like personal standouts, I feel like everybody kind of rags on it, but the package, I feel like if you just turn your brain off and watch it for the pure action, pretty cool. The Arbiter one is pretty cool. What is it? The Be Human, I think, is kind of a cool one as well. The ODST one's pretty funny. Again, like I feel like people's perception on this is like kind of, you know, leaning to bad. But I personally like it. Again, like it's just because I like Halo. I like seeing the animated projects, and I mean, you also don't have to be too like lore, like, you know, like lore knowledgeable on this to enjoy it. You can just watch it, and it's plenty enjoyable. The other one I like is the Dragon Ball Z one, with the other Spartan. You know, where he like crash lands on the planet and he has to fight a brute. That's pretty funny. I like that one. But yeah, anyways. Zootopia 2. Saw that at the tail end of the month. Cute. Honestly, cute. Again, like it's nothing like super stand out to me. I didn't really care too much about the first one, if I'm being quite honest. And but this is the first kind of Disney Pixar that I've enjoyed since Luca, probably. So shout out to Luca, but shout out especially to Zootopia 2 for just being fun, honestly. It was just super fun. It sort of moves by really fast as well, which I appreciate. Not that I'm saying that the first one drags or anything like that, but I feel like there's a lot of moments in these Pixar movies, especially recently, where they drag a bit. Just a bit. But this one just like moves at a nice pace. Really funny. Shout out to what's his name, Jason Bateman. There you go. Nick. Shout out to him because I find him particularly funny. You know, in like all of his like other stuff, or you know, even like in Arrested Development. I think he's very funny, and he has a good voice. So he kind of sells me on this Nick character. But yeah, again, just like fun, enjoyable, very good looking movie as well. I'll give it that. Very good looking. Got Ke-Huy Quan as a snake. Good fun. I like him as a voice actor as well, so hopefully he's in more stuff. I know he was in Kung Fu Panda 4. He had a very small role in it, but he was in it, and his voice is like kind of easy to pick out, so it's kind of nice to hear it. What else? I feel like there's some other things about this movie specifically that I liked. I guess just picking up voices, right? Like I picked up Danny Trejo pretty quick as the iguana or whatever you want to call him. I almost feel like they were doing like a bit on Rango because he kind of like he's doing that like you know, like hat covering him, like face down thing that Rango does in the one bit in the movie. But yeah, so I mean, shout out to Rango because that's who I was thinking about. And then two other shouts. They do a Hannibal Lecter reference with the old mayor when she's in the prison. Pretty funny. I thought it was like so weird though, cause like again, like I'm like I went with my family, and they don't really know too much, and I've only ever seen like, you know, like Silence of the Lambs and then the Solo movie, like once each. But like that was one that I picked up on pretty quick. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then later on they do a Shining reference, spoilers, and it's like super faithful for whatever reason. I was like, okay, this is you know, interesting, but also like a little funny in some ways. And man, they were really faithful with that reference. I don't know. They were like, all right, it's Zootopia 2, do whatever you want. But now very, I mean, kind of grateful in a way for that because you know, like to me it was entertaining. But like I don't know, at the same time that kind of makes me sound like just because, you know, it's like, oh, reference. I know that thing that's on the screen right now. That's good. But you know, it was just fun. So I give it a pass. Something else I wanted to shout out because I don't think I will in the emotional media thing, but I rewatched Thunderbolts. Again, like it was kind of weird. Like I remember like a lot of the marketing around it, and I'm kind of kicking myself now because I didn't watch it in theaters. I waited around like a scumbag, and then decided too late to go watch it in theaters, and by then it was already out. So I waited for it to come out on Disney. Waited for it to come out on Disney Plus. Watched it then. I enjoyed it. I sat on it for a while, and then just got around to rewatching it, and I enjoyed it a lot more, way more. But also like light influence because I was listening to the soundtrack ahead of time, just because like certain themes were stuck in my head, and I was also listening to a lot of Sun Lux this month. Is that how you pronounce it? Sun Lux. Yeah, so I was listening to a lot of them this month, so it kind of got me in the headspace. So this time around, really enjoyed the music, and honestly really enjoyed this emotional core that they had for it. And obviously, you know, like cinematography. I just think it's funny to say cinnamon in front of it, cinematography, because if you say it fast, it sounds like it. But that's an aside. But yeah, obviously, just like great looking movie, really good looking movie. Because I was part of the marketing too, right? Making it seem like it was just like A24 masterpiece type thing, which I mean, good change of pace, and it like definitely separates them from all like the, you know, the other Marvel projects that were coming out around the time. Is this still considered Phase 4, or I don't know? I kind of lost track. I feel like I've seen all the projects that have come out since then. But you know, it's just like a mixed bag. Some of them are like really good. Some of them are terrible, and some of them are just fine. Most of them are just fine. I'm not gonna say which are which. I feel like it's pretty obvious from some of the other things I've talked about, but regardless, Thunderbolts. I mean, yeah, I feel like I've said most of it, but I'll get into that emotional core because I feel like that's what really resonated with me this time around. On the first watch, I thought it was cool. I thought it was such a different idea. I mean, again, compared to everything else that came out, this is probably, you know, just like goes to the depths that maybe Guardians 3 does at the very least. You know, with like character development and like emotional character development. I mean, again, you have like this group, and all of them are just hurting, really, right? So then to have like your main villain kind of reflect this idea of, you know, depression or like mental illness, or I guess like, you know, like mental health unwellness, right? But yeah, I mean, especially like in this, like, you know, in their world, where all of them are kind of at, like, it sort of makes sense that all of them are at this like complete low. You know, I'm talking mainly Yelena, Red Guardian, Bucky, in some ways maybe, but you know, also like Walker and Bob / Sentry. It's kind of weird. Like, they don't really give Ghost too much development, which I think is a bit unfortunate. I feel like that character needs some love. You know, Ant-Man and the Wasp, but even then, right? And then they kind of come back in this, and they're a cool character. I like Ghost, but like Ghost is definitely the one that gets kind of shafted a little bit, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, so, because I feel like there's some stuff to develop there. But yeah, like obviously your emotional core is between Yelena and then her relation between like each of the other members of the Thunderbolts, excluding Bucky. Bucky just kind of shows up, and it's nice to see Bucky, so I'm not gonna complain about that. But yeah, I mean, like she doesn't really care too much for John, and it's pretty obvious with the way she talks about him, or talks to him rather. She has a connection to Bob because she feels Bob sort of relates to her. This like emptiness, the void inside, and like he's gone through so much, and Yelena has gone through so much loss. She kind of finds that kinship in him really early on, and I thought it was quite nice. And then obviously with her trying to go and save him at the very end, it comes full circle. And then obviously her relationship with her dad, or the Red Guardian. Also pretty good too. And I mean, again, Florence Pugh, just crazy good actress, man. She is like selling it in this. I feel like I'm kind of overblowing it a little bit, but I think she's really good. And man, like no joke, she kind of is just like acting circles around everybody in this one. But again, just like selling it on that like kind of A24-esque like movie, right? But man, she's good. I like her a lot. And honestly, I appreciate how dark this movie is willing to go. Like obviously you see like Walker's memory thing, and it literally is just about like neglect. He's a neglectful and like absent parent. That's, I don't know. I feel like with some other superhero movies, that's kind of like a like theme for certain characters, but like this one like kind of like gets into it a little bit more, and it makes it seem like a lot more. I'm not gonna say a lot more gross and disgusting. It is very gross and disgusting, but I you can kind of see what I mean. It shows it for what it is. It shows it for how bad it is, and it isn't really glossed over. That's something that kind of weighs on him as a character, and you can kind of see like when people are able to like pick him apart on that. And then for Bob, just childhood trauma, and even in his like memory where he feels like safest, it's still pretty fucking rough. And again, that's another aspect of the movie I like too, like going into these memories and stuff. With Yelena, I've always liked her memory specifically because she still sort of acts like that child, that scared child. Like whenever she hears the gunshot, she turns away, even though she's a mature adult now. She like tries to like shield her younger self from what she already went through. I feel like that's like again just like a nice sentiment to her character. She wants to like be a hero and be someone who can protect other people, and that's what she does for Bob at the very end. She goes out of her way to like really help him, because she sort of sees herself in him in some ways. Now but great. And then soundtrack by Sunlux, very good. But yeah, so that was it for the movies. TV is also short as well. Still just watching the same TV shows. Quickly want to shout out a show that I didn't mention in October. Beware the Batman, animated Batman series. Pretty good. I watched it with my brother. We just kind of like just like chopped it up into pieces and just like watched it here and there. But man, like lots of stuff going on that show. Pretty good depiction of Batman. Really like Batman in that. Obviously it's kind of nice that they just like added some characters in there. Like he has like a pretty like main roster, or like main rotary of supervillains in this one, so you just like see them pretty consistently. But whenever certain ones would show up, it'd be like, oh wow, they're doing fucking this character. it was kind of weird, and I do appreciate that they choose characters that aren't too popular. There's a few like they bring Killer Croc in like after a while, and it's like, whoa, hold up, like they're doing Killer Croc now, because I mean initially they just have like random bullshit villains that nobody really knows about, but are still pretty like interesting and like well fleshed out. Some of them are low-key fodder, not gonna lie, like the pig and frog, like but they're funny, so we give them a pass. And then like the whale, pretty simple, pretty interesting. But yeah, and like they bring like Ra's al Ghul into the mix in the League of Assassins, or League of Shadows. Pretty cool, man. Wasn't really expecting it to take that angle, but welcomed, honestly. Batman's kind of a cool character where like he has just this like almost unlimited seeming roster of like characters that you can just pick through and like make all of them like kind of interesting in some way. But yeah, you have like Katana in this as well, and she's all right. She ain't all right. She's pretty good. I like Katana in this. And then you also have Alfred. I was telling my brother it's funny with the way they portray Alfred in this, but you could easily like if you wanted like I don't know. Again, it's just like where my mind went, but like if you really wanted to do this like live action for some fucking bullshit, first pick for Alfred in Beware the Batman would be Jason Statham. I mean, like the fucking Alfred in this basically is fucking Jason Statham, honestly. I'm pretty sure there's some heavy influence. Haven't researched anything about it, but I'm pretty sure there's a heavy influence because like, you know, some of the mannerisms and then obviously like the look, he's like a kind of like big British bald guy. Who else is a big British bald tough guy? I don't know, man. There's not that many of them. But yeah, other TV shows, watching Welcome to Derry. I don't really give a shit too much about it as a whole. I watch the movies and they're pretty interesting, but I was never one to like really obsess over them in the same ways I feel like other people will. But this TV show has been pretty cool so far. Lots of great like moments of horror, especially the bit in the bed. Don't want to spoil too much, but there's a pretty good visual there that's very crazy. And also Dick Halloran. Was not fucking expecting them to bring the Shining stuff into this. Again, never read the books, or not even again, but first time I'm telling you, never read the books. Preface. And yeah, like I said, didn't really care too much about the movies, but I know with some Stephen King stuff, there's like a binding thread, right? And so I guess that's the binding thread between The Shining and it. There is a connection between it, or you know, Pennywise, and The Shining somehow. I haven't finished the show. I don't even know if it's finished yet. I think we're on episode 5 or some shit. I don't know. But I've been liking what I'm watching, so I'll continue to watch it. Chair Company, again, I don't know if this one's finished or not yet. But I've enjoyed what I've been watching so far. Tim Robinson's very funny. His little side characters are also very funny. The scenarios are very funny. But yeah, I just need to finish it before I really go into its depths. I feel like with the last episode we watched, man, Tim Robinson's fucking up in some ways. I thought it was very cute that he involves his daughter into the situation. You know, he has that bond with her, and he's very trusting of her. And obviously, there's something also like in their past that makes the daughter want to be a bit more helpful to him, or is like a little more watchful over him. You know, so we'll see how that develops. But as of now, I feel like it's quite wholesome that they have this connection with one another. Someone that I'm watching the show with is saying that the daughter is like somehow connected to it, and she's gonna turn on him. I really hope that doesn't happen, but we'll see. Maybe I'm just being a little naive or optimistic. But man, and then he fucks up with Mike. He fucks up with his friend, bro. All his friend wanted to do was go there for his son's birthday, grab a slice of pizza, grab a slice of cake, and you know, drop off his gift and leave. And you know, Tim Robinson won't even let him have that, despite how much he's done for him, and despite how much, you know, like of a character arc Mike has been going through, from being this selfish kind of bastard to being a bit more helpful to Tim Robinson's cause. But yeah, I really like Mike. And then Smiling Friends, still really funny. Again, just like super crazy how every single episode they'll like push it a little bit further and just like make it like top the last one. In my opinion, at least. I mean, again, I feel like the humor in this is kind of like all over the place, and you know, you can like kind of pick and choose what's funny, or you can pick and choose what's not funny. But I personally think it's very funny. A lot of the jokes land for me, and it like they're intensely rewatchable in my opinion. But yeah, so that's about it for TV. Yeah, movies and TV this month pretty short. But man, I was listening to a lot of music, so let's get into the music. The band Foxtails, really loving them. Been listening to the hell out of them. Kind of like a screamo rock band, with like a bunch of just like different like added bits here and there. The lead singer has such a great voice for screamo, for sure. But then also in these like smaller moments where she's like properly singing, Or even then just like kind of talking. It sort of flows like poetry at times. But it's very good. I enjoyed it immensely. And even if you just want to listen to something for instrumentals, go ahead. Some of it's like really heavy. There's moments that are really soft. And in specific albums, which I'll get to, the sound is like so different from what they were doing like previous album, that I'm just like kind of picking it out. But yeah, so the first album that I really listened to was or I guess just like Roman numeral 3, their album from 2017. The standout to me that really got me into them was the Chicken from Outer Space. I don't know, man. Something about that track specifically really grabbed me, and maybe I've talked about this with music before, but a lot of music is about feeling, and you don't necessarily need to be like a part of the scene or anything like that necessarily. Because I mean, screamo rock is never really something I listen to, but this track grabbed me in a way that I can't describe. But I mean, I'm grateful for it because I've been loving the sound. But yeah, so Chicken from Outer Space from their 2017 album 3. I really enjoyed that, and then of course like listen to the rest of the album. Not too many other standouts in my opinion. Just enjoyable. And their other album from 2019, Que Vida Hija, really like that one as well. But this is where I'm talking about where what is it? The sound kind of comes in. What the fuck was I looking at? Oh, okay. Yeah, so what was I talking about? The sound, right? Yeah, so like the main example I have is with like Prime Crier going into it was the first time I remembered a Saturday Night I Forgot About. This band is also really good about making really long titles. Again, I don't know if that's like just like a thing like in the scene, in like the screamo rock scene, or this kind of like emo rock scene. I just assume it is because a lot of their titles are either really long or they're just like sentences basically. But yeah, so from Prime Crier into this track, Prime Crier kind of ends off with this like saxophone sound, or maybe like other brass instrument, but again, it's not something you would really expect, or not something I personally would expect from like a rock album. So to hear it, it stands out so well, and that little tune that comes up at the very start of it was the first time I remembered that something like that, but it's very nice. It sounds almost upbeat considering how much on a low the saxophone kind of ends off on with Prime Crier. It's that contrast. I don't know. It sounded a little bit more optimistic than what I was making it sound like. I feel like I was, I'm not like the greatest musician or singer or anything like that of all time, but it's like a little tune that stuck in my head, so I wanted to point it out just so I can give you an idea, and just so, well, I mean, even for me, just so I know, like in the future, in case I lose touch with something like this, I can come back to it, right, and I can know exactly what I'm talking about. But also for any potentials out there who are just looking for music, and can kind of find something in this. I feel like there's a lot to pick apart, again, even if you're not a part of it, right? But yeah, so I really enjoyed Que Vida Hija as well, like on the whole. And then their like more recent album, Fawn, from 2022. Honestly, with this one, I just started to hear a lot more of the strings, and I watched that audio tree with them on it, and they were just playing some tracks, and then answering a few questions, if you know how the audio tree stuff works. But yeah, like it was literally just like their bass, vocals, extra guitar guy, drums, and then somebody on the violin. Again, not too musically adept, pretty sure it was a violin. I'm going to say it's a violin, but it's very string heavy, and it's very apparent in throughout the album. So again, just something worth pointing out, right? And this is the one that I spent the least amount of time with, so I'm going to have to sit with it some more. I don't have any standout tracks to point out, unfortunately. But another band, kind of in the same vein that I've been listening to, is a band called Julie. Specifically, it's weird, like they have a lot of singles, but their only album is an album called My Anti-Aircraft Friend. The two standouts for me are Thread Stitch and Stuck in a Car with Angels. Both of those are very good, and I mean the whole album is just really enjoyable. And something about these two bands, and even a third band that I want to shout out, is What-ifs. What-ifs is a band that I really enjoy. They have a lot of singles, but their only album is an album called My Anti-Aircraft Friend. The two standouts for me are Thread Stitch and Stuck in a Car with Angels. Both of those are very good, and I mean the whole album is just really enjoyable. And something about these two bands, and All of their albums are very short and very easy to listen to, just because they kind of have like the same vibe within them. Um, so you can just kind of like blaze through it without even really thinking about it, and it's still such a pleasant experience. Uh, but yeah, but with Julie, I mean, like, same thing, kind of like heavier, harsh instrumentals, but like in between, like softer vocals from the man and the woman, who are singing throughout it. But yeah, very good. And again, like if you just want something instrumentally, because you don't really have to pay too much attention to the lyrics necessarily, though like they add some like context, right? But I mean, even then, if you're just looking for a nice like instrumental like rock experience, I feel like this is it right here. Very good. But yeah, the other band I wanted to shout out real quick is Korea Girl. Um, I think the album is called the complete discography, if I'm remembering correctly. But it starts with the track called B-Sides, which is very fun as an intro track. But the two standouts for me are Under the Sun and Atomic Skies. I feel like their most popular song is a song called Reunion, which is very good too. But these two, again, Under the Sun and Atomic Skies, I like quite a lot. There's like a lyrical, I don't know, motif, whatever you want to call it, and in Atomic Skies, uh, where he's talking about being content with life and like never really appreciating it, I guess. Because I mean, the lyric is just, can I be content with the things I have? I'll never be content. And he just kind of repeats that. Uh, so like maybe a bit doom and gloom, or like the way I'm seeing it at least. But then if you wanted to put like a more of like a positive spin on it, I guess trying to find some type of optimism whenever things like seem their lowest. I mean, again, like the song is called Atomic Skies, and it starts off with like some imagery like relating to, I guess, like that Cold War era where like a nuclear threat was like very apparent. Again, atomic skies, right? um, so like things kind of seem at their lowest, but I don't know, me personally, just like trying to be more positive, trying to find some type of positivity in that negative. But anyways, Lexa Gates, kind of hip hop artist. I was only really introduced to her because of my sister, and we actually went to go see her in concert, which was really fun. Um, yeah, she had a concert over in Deep Ellum, so we went to Deep Ellum, and that was an experience in itself. And then the actual concert experience was very cool. Man, she has a lot of energy, and her opener had a lot of energy as well. But the only album with her, because she has two albums, I only really listened to her first one, Universe Wrapped in Flesh. Quick shout outs, If I Die, Die, Delusional, and It's Always Something. It's Always Something I liked a lot just because it is like more like sing-songy, like a lot slower compared to everything else on the album. But again, just like that diversity, right? Because something like Delusional is so upbeat and like really fast paced, and she's very braggadocious in it. So then to have that contrasted with something like It's Always Something, it makes for a really interesting album, I think. And then the other track, If I Die, I Die. It was funny because I was listening to that one, and with a lot of like hip hop artists, it's funny because you can always kind of tell where they're from. Like obviously there's like the main places, right? You have LA, like Chicago, and New York. I feel like whenever you hear a lot about like rap artists, it's either like those three places. There's Atlanta, right? Killer Mike, shout out. But yeah, so with Lexa Gates and If I Die, I Die, I was listening to her and I was like, she's definitely from New York. She's definitely from New York. And I had to look that up. And then, yeah, I think even in the concert, she mentions New York as well. So, again, just like the way a lot of hip hop artists like will talk, like the themes of their like music, or themes of their lyrics, and also like just like the way they flow, like you can tell sometimes. So I just thought it was pretty funny, just something I wanted to point out. But again, like the album on the whole, very good. I really enjoyed it, and she did play a lot of tracks from this album, and then she played a handful from her other album. I wasn't too familiar with them, but again, it's like the energy, and especially like being in concert, is really fun. And I mean, again, it was in Deep Ellum, so for like all the Texas people out there, if y'all are familiar with Deep Ellum, a lot of the venues like aren't like crazy big. The place I was at was called Trees. So it's pretty small. And I remember I was in concert last year for Harun Emery, also in Deep Ellum, at the RDC, I think is what it was called. But like both of them are just like really small places, and I mean with those two artists, they don't have like the biggest audience. I don't think. I mean, Hot and Emery is pretty popular, but like her turnout, I mean, like it was like a bar basically, but it was packed. And same thing here with Lexa Gates. Like it was basically a bar, like 2 stories, and it was packed. Uh, and yeah, again, like energy, like super high, and people were vibing with it. So that was fun. And I mean, again, like me personally, I like just learned about her, but I still had a really good time. So I guess that's just a testament to like her music and like how kind of captivating it can be. Some other like constants this month. Absol was a big one. Listened to a lot of Absol. Um, just like different albums, but I mean mainly it's just Herbert. I've been listening to a lot of Herbert. Those first 3 tracks, man, there's something about them. And then Moon Shooter as the 4th track with Joey Badass, pretty cool. But those first 3 tracks, Message in a Bottle. I'm gonna blank on the second one, and then the third one is Hollandaise. But man, I think Message in a Bottle is such a great opener, and it really captured me super quick. I love his I guess like returning chorus. I feel like I'm messing up the terminology, but you know, like first they love me, then they hate me, then they love me again. Or maybe I have that scratch that, reverse it. First they hate me, then they love me, then they hate me again. No, I think it's love, hate, love. You know, I'm scratching my head, I'm rubbing my chin. This ain't the way it was supposed to be. Supposedly, I'm close to an end. Don't push me. You know what I mean? It's I don't know, like the way it flows, it's so great. And then with the instrumentals in the background, and like the way it'll like split up, you know, because I feel like initially like it is just kind of him talking, and then in that second half, there's a lot more confidence to what he's saying. I don't know, just good. I mean, shout out to Absol, right? And then the second track, the second track is just really fun. There's a lot of funny bars he has, and I also like that too with like rappers. Like whenever they'll like say a bar they know is like kind of corny, and they'll like call themselves out on it like in an ad lib. You know, because like the bar he has is like, you know, all I see is students, and now I look around and no, it's like I was a C student, now I look around and all I see is students, and then he calls himself stupid in the ad lib. But I mean, yeah, like so C student like a grade, and then like seeing students, pretty funny. But yeah, but again, like that track is also just like really high energy, great track. And then Hollandaise, man, that instrumental grabs me immediately. And it's also just like one of those tracks, you know what I mean? Like where you can just like kind of bump it. It's sort of fun. Yeah, and then the rest of the album just really enjoyable as well. So shout out to Herbert. Shout out to Absol. Another track I want to shout out. There's actually a lot of tracks I would like to shout out, but I think I need more time with them before I really engage a bit more. I guess it's just an album. Nichijo Shometsu by Kinoi 64. I got recommended this one by somebody, and yeah, just like enjoyable. Again, if you like Japanese rock, right? Check them out. I don't really know too much about them. The lyrics are in Japanese, I can tell you that much. Very rock heavy. Again, just kind of fun. A bit different if you're looking for something different. Not all that different though. But that's kind of what I like about the Japanese rock genre. It's very easy to get into, and I mean, again, like you don't really need to know like the language to like really just like vibe with it, because you can just enjoy it for like the instrumental experience, or even then, like you can always kind of pick emotion from the voice, I feel like. And I mean with this, like it is just a bit more like upbeat, kind of hazy. But you know, some other Japanese artists I like, obviously I talk about Harun Emery a lot, but you can pick so much emotion from the way she sings and whatnot. And then also another artist I like, Kaneko Ayano, I believe her name is, kind of like a Japanese folk artist. But yeah, man, she has crazy emotion behind her voice. I say folk, and I'm just kind of using that as like a place term. She sings, obviously, but you know, you hear like a lot of guitar, so like in my head I kind of imagine she's like on the stage, like, you know, like soft singing, like with the guitar in her hand. So that's why I use like the folk label. I don't think it's necessarily folk. uh, per se, but it's what I think of. So maybe that can like get us in the right mindset for what I'm talking about. But yeah, but she's very good as well, and she has like a very expressive voice. I mean, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. not, not to sound mean when I say that, you know what I mean? But I really don't know what she's saying, but in some ways I can feel it almost. And I feel like that's very important, and it's something that isn't really talked about sometimes, especially whenever discussing like foreign music. And I feel like that's also people's fear sometimes in getting into foreign music, you know, because it's like, oh, I don't understand it. And I mean, like, same with like foreign movies, right? But with foreign movies, you're very fortunate that it's a visual media, so you have your subtitles and you can just read the subtitles. But you also miss out on some of the emotion because obviously through translation you miss some things. But with music, I don't know, you just feel music. So you don't need subtitles. You don't really need to read into it if you don't want to. I'm pretty sure there's like messages to gain and stuff from it. I know with Haru Nemuri, I've like read like some of her like blog post stuff, like talking about her songs, so I kind of have an idea on some of the things she's saying. And then, you know, some of them with like the Japanese words I can kind of pick out. So again, like I have like a basis to go off of. But with this other artist, I truly have no clue what she's saying, but she's so expressive with it, and I love the like, you know, that acoustic guitar sound. Again, like very folkish, very country, but it's nice. So I wanted to give her a shout out too because I was listening to her a lot. She's someone that I kind of consistently go back to, but especially towards the end of this month, I was listening to her pretty heavily. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Again, like kind of a light month, sort of. But you know, still got quite a lot, and I feel like some of these artists are ones that I'll probably stick with. I mean, especially Foxtails, because they're sort of like on the newer end, sort of, but they're very good. I enjoy them quite heavily, so I'll keep track of them. Julie, if I'm being honest, I might fall off Julie, but very enjoyable from what I heard, and I mean, I have those 2 tracks on my playlist now, so at least those will stick with me. But I don't imagine myself going through the whole album. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if they put out some more albums, I don't know. I'm really bad about listening to singles for some reason. Lexa Gates, again, just I feel like for the most part for me this month it was like a lot of rock music, and Lexa Gates was like the only hip hop artist alongside Absol, and then of course, like, you know, still listening to JPEG Mafia, still listening to Kendrick, still listening to like SZA. You know, so like that hip hop kind of like, you know, DNA is like still there for me. But yeah, this month was like more defined by rock than anything. Man, I'd like to get into some more like classic rock stuff, but I don't know, it's always so hit or miss. I was listening to The Who for a little bit, mainly their album called Christmas. No, is it called Christmas? It's called Tommy, right? Something about Tommy, but it's like a blue album cover. But there's a track on it called Christmas. There you go. Track on it called Christmas that really grabbed me, and I thought it was very good. It reminded me of like some Pink Floyd stuff. I don't know like who influenced who, or like, you know, the time frame, because again, I'm not that big into classic rock. Is The Who considered rock? But anyways, but yeah, so I guess minor shout out to The Who. Again, but classic rock stuff I want to get more into, because the only kind of classic rock artist I'm really into is Pink Floyd. Like, I've actually listened to their albums. Like, I tried listening to Queen, and I don't know, like, me personally, I feel like they don't really have coherent albums. Like, whenever I think Queen, I just think the singles, and that's kind of about it. Same with Bowie in some ways, but Lazarus is very good. Or Black Star. Is the album called Black Star, or is the album called Lazarus? Or is the first track called Lazarus? Completely forgot. But I remember listening to that around the time he passed away, so shout out to Bowie as well. And then of course, like his singles. Maybe this month, December, will be defined by me actually listening to some of those artists. I have a good friend who's like really into like Elvis and the Beatles and Bowie and stuff like that. So maybe I'll have to take his lead on this one and just listen to them. But what else? I feel like there's one more music. Oh yeah, Sun Lux. Just been listening to a lot of them. Again, just because with the emotional media thing, I was thinking about Everything Everywhere All at Once so heavily, and they do the soundtrack for that. They did the soundtrack for Thunderbolts. And then I just started listening to some of their like select, just like different albums and like select tracks. But yeah, very good. I feel like they're an artist that's like right up my alley. Like, you know, where like they are more like instrumentally focused, and you know the supplementary lyrics are just kind of nice. So I'll probably listen to more of them throughout the month, just like going through their discography. But I feel like that's about it for this recap. Uh, a lot shorter, but I feel like I got a lot of talking out of it. Surprisingly, I feel like last month my list was like way longer, but I kind of breezed through it. So maybe this is a bit better, just to condense it. Watch some things that I actually want to watch, and you know, listening to things that I'm really enjoying, and just kind of like talking about them at length. I feel it works a lot better. Um, but yeah, again, that's it. Anything that kind of defined y'all's, or you know, whoever watches this, anything that defines y'all's November 2025, let me know. I think it'd be cool to get recommendations, but I mean, thanks for listening, and you know, thanks to me for coming back and listening to this probably, and getting a lot out of it. And just, you know, reminding myself on some things of why I like things. I feel like that's kind of important to me now. But yeah, take care.